Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I am bringing you an announcement for the next round of the Off the Grid Readathon, as well as my planned TBR. The Off the Grid Readathon is a quarterly readathon that I host with my bookish bestie Shanna from the blog Bionic Bookworm, and it is my favorite readathon because there are no prompts, there are no reading sprints, there's no kind of activity that distracts you from reading. There's only reading. The only point of this readathon is to put your phone aside, stay off social media, cut yourself off from distractions, and just read. And honestly, what better time for that than now? So this round of the Off the Grid Readathon is going to go from the 17th of April from midnight in your time zone, whatever time zone that may be, until Sunday at midnight in, again, your time zone. So it's 3 days of reading. You can do it as much or as little as you want. This is like the most chill readathon ever. Also, you can do this readathon in conjunction with other readathons like the Owls. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to try to catch up on my Owls with the reading rush, whatever happens to be going on. You can use this for whatever. You can do as much or as little as you like. I think the first time this readathon ran, I was wedding dress shopping, so I obviously wasn't sitting on my butt reading all weekend. It's really just an excuse to kind of shut off your brain a little bit and get some reading done, work your way through your TBR, and maybe forget about the state of the world. You may have noticed from the thumbnail that I have far too many books for 3 days, and you would be correct. The reason for this is I am going to kind of extend my own version of this readathon into next week because I happen to have booked off next week for no real reason other than to read, and my company said that we should use up some of our holiday time while we're in quarantine. So that's what I'm gonna do, and it just happens to be the week after the Off the Grid Readathon. So I have a ton of stuff that I would really like to get to, and yeah, I sort of have a reading order for this. So the book that I'm going to focus on for specifically the Off the Grid Readathon is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Sorry, I'm like balancing books, so I'm holding that weird. This is a new book by her. I read the 5th season in February, and I'm planning to continue with that series. But I love her writing, and I love that world so much, and I've been super curious to read more from her. So what is more perfect than reading her new release? So this takes place, as I've said a million times, in New York. I'm an ex-New Yorker. I lived there for about 9 years, and I am a sucker for New York stories. I'm so looking forward to this. It's contemporary set. It's about people from all different walks of life. I think kind of awakening into a sort of magic as sort of spirits of the city. And it just sounds great. I'm really looking forward to this. So when I finish my current read, which is Wanderers by Chuck Wendig, I'm going to go ahead and dive into this one, and this will be the one that I focus on for the Off the Grid Readathon specifically. If and when I finish that book, I have a ton of others, so I am just going to rattle through these pretty quickly. I think most of these books I will be able to get through fairly quickly, maybe with one exception, that being 16th Watch by Mike Cole. I'm holding that weird again. This is 16th Watch. It's basically Coast Guard in space, preventing the first lunar war. It sounds awesome, but I had a digital advanced copy of this book, and I did start it, and I found it really difficult to kind of like wrap my brain around some of the language. It may have been because it's been a long time since I had read sci-fi at that point. It may be because he uses a lot of military jargon because he is ex-Coast Guard, I believe. But whatever it is, I think this is going to take me a little bit longer to read, and I figure that the Off the Grid Readathon, perfect time for that because I can sit there and really get into the story and not be hugely distracted. So this is going to be perfect for that. After that, I'd like to completely switch gears and read Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. This was coming out in June, but I think it's actually been pushed back to maybe August. So yeah, I'm still going to try to get it read a little bit early, and I'll save up my review and my thoughts for the kind of time of publication. But this is the 3rd book in the Once Upon a Con series, the only contemporary YA books that I can really deal with. They're just not something I'm usually interested in. However, Being a nerdy person, being a geeky person, being a former con goer, I love these books. They're so sweet. They're fairy tale retellings, and they're all centered around this sort of TV show slash rebooted film called Starfield, which is kind of Star Wars meets Star Trek combined, with the toxic fandom included. And the first one is Cinderella, the second one is The Prince and the Pauper. This is obviously Beauty and the Beast. Really looking forward to this. It's gonna fly by. Her books always do, and they're always so fun. They're like a delightful escape. So this is gonna be great for next week. Then I have The Deck of Omens by Christine Lynn Herman. This one I think this one was meant to come out in April and has been pushed to May. A lot of stuff is being jumbled around in terms of publication dates at the moment, for obvious reasons. But this is the sequel to The Devouring Grey, which I read last year. It was her debut novel, and I loved so much, and I have a review of that book on my channel. I'll link it on the screen. But this is a super, super highly anticipated sequel for me. It's another one I think I'm going to absolutely blast through, given how quickly I read the first one. And yeah, I think this is going to be really fun, and it's going to be the perfect time to read it. This is kind of contemporary set fantasy, set in upstate New York, in this kind of small town where people really worship the founders of this town, who have these kind of like mysterious abilities, and it follows the descendants of the founders. So this is going to be a really fun one. And last but not least, I am popping the last two Murderbot novellas. So we have Rogue Protocol and Exit Strategy on my TBR for the Off the Grid Readathon and for the week. If publication date is holding, the very first Murderbot novel, full-length novel, Network Effect, is going to come out in May. That may have shifted slightly, I don't know. But I would like to go ahead and finish the novellas before I read the actual novel. It is a book I'm very much looking forward to. I adore these books. I love Murderbot. Murderbot is all of us. Who would have thought you'd be able to relate so strongly to a character named Murderbot? But you can. If you've read these books, you understand. And if you haven't read these books and you like sci-fi, I would so highly recommend them. They are so fun, they're nice and short, and they are so enjoyable. So there we have it. Those are the books that I'm planning to read for the Off the Grid Readathon. I really hope you can join in, even if you can only join in for an afternoon, for a day, or if you're planning on going in for the long haul and reading all weekend. Definitely let me know if you are, if you have a TBR, if you have any questions, give me a shout. I have a bunch of information linked down below if you'd like to check out more. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.